If you put people in prison, you have a built-in drama. Think of Shawshank Redemption and Orange is the New Black, to name just two. Well, we don't see stories about getting out of prison and having to make it in the outside world as frequently, but they touch as many, if not more, lives. As we just saw, the young members of the Truthworker Theater Company have their own connections to the effects of mass incarceration that have led to creating and staging a trilogy of plays.
The third and final part of that trilogy opens this Thursday, the 17th. It's called Revision, A State of Emergence. And back with us on BK Live to tell us more is Truthworker founder and artistic director, Samara Gaev. Samara, nice to see you again. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me back. It's a pleasure.
Of course. Also joining us are two members of the company, Danae Edmond. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And James Forza. Nice to meet you too. Thank you for being here. Let's start with you two, actually. What made you want to get involved in such a production?
I feel like I can speak on issues that don't really get talked about in my generation. I can speak on them effectively. And this was like an opportunity that was provided to me to speak to young crowds across America and get trained and get paid to do so. The funds to be able to do that are usually, we usually lack them. So it's a really good opportunity for people like me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like youth need things that are going to actually speak to them, and hip-hop is one of those connectors. And personally, my brother's been in and out of the system since he was 12 years old, and he is a rapper. Right now, he's actually incarcerated. He's at Rikers Island, which is one of the worst jails, we know this, in the United States. And I think if he was given an opportunity like this, he wouldn't be there. If public schools, if Truthworker had the resources to continue to expand this program and give people a voice, then we wouldn't be in this predicament that we are in now. And so I think I kind of came into it like, I need Brooklyn to have something. I need Brooklyn to be something more than like coffee shops and police lining my blocks and security cameras and all these things that they're instituting to catch so-called criminals. I need more. And I feel like Truthworker is that space where you can talk about whatever is going on and decide what do we need if not this.
Samara, there have been some people who are shifting their focus and scrambling just since the election last week. You've occupied this space and been here and can take a long view back and a cautious view forward. So how do you feel with your work meeting the time right now?
Yeah, I mean, the times right now are urgent, and I feel like we're in a crisis, but we've been in a crisis, and I don't think we should sleep on that. You know, I think that what's happening right now with the election is unearthing and making visible something that many people in our population in a country that's built on a history of colonization and slavery and oppression already know. Have known for a long time. And now the dangerous thing is that potentially we are giving voice, or there is a man who potentially is going to be holding this power to give voice to hatred, to bigotry, to misogyny, to xenophobia. And in terms of where we are right now, you know, like I said, the times have already been urgent. This is why I started this company 3 years ago, why I took a hard look at the prison industrial complex, on the epidemic of mass incarceration, and feel really strongly that it is our responsibility to make sure to do everything that we can to use our powers. And for me, that's art. That's art, that's education, that's healing. And how do we reach people? How do we touch people? How do we move people's hearts in order to activate them? And I find that art is the way to do that, and we need to activate. And to me, the most pressing way to do so is to make sure to be doing my best to create platforms for voices that are systemically being silenced, you know, and to support that, to step out of the way, and to just be a microphone, to be an amplifier, and to make sure that that young voices are being heard, that young voices of color who are systemically impacted by mass incarceration are able to tell their own stories on their own terms. So.
Young voices. So there's been some talk about, okay, Donald Trump is a disruptor then. If we wanted to break down the system, this might be a means to an end of doing. Even if you don't like the guy, he might be so horrible that everything will be reversed. What do you guys think about the prospect of the future?
Truthfully, speaking in my perspective, I think that oftentimes we want to say when there's a disaster, we're going to
come together and respond, but I think it's hard to do that when we live in a reactionary system. Take Brooklyn, for example. There's so many ways that the housing market is now causing so many generations who've lived here their whole life, who built, I mean, look at the Bronx, who built hip hop, now being pushed out.
Yeah.
And I think that it's hard for me to say what's gonna happen, but what I hope is that we do kind of integrate love in whatever our practices are against the state. And I think that, to be real, I don't know what's to come tomorrow, but I know that the work I'm doing now is to hopefully say, what is, if we're not having prison to fight domestic violence, how are we gonna talk to our neighbors about it? How are we gonna talk to our siblings about it? If we're not gonna call the police when somebody's loud in our building floor, how are we gonna engage them? How are we gonna use different means to really connect with each other and not just shut each other out or be like, I'm gonna call the police because I don't trust this person. So my thing is, we have to radically change ourselves in order for the world to change. And are we ready for that? I don't know, but I think we have to get ready even faster now that we're going to be in a system where so many laws and policies are going to be put into place to stop that.
James, you have more tools now than you did walking in a Truth Worker to do that.
Yes. It provided me with a way to speak to the young crowd who aren't really aware of what's going on. Not even just them, but like my friends personally. Before Truth Worker, I wasn't really aware of the systems that were affecting me. And upon joining, I realized that like the school to prison pipeline is a very big thing that goes unnoticed. And learning about that in Truth Worker gave me the ability to talk to my friends about it and discuss how are we gonna like change, how are we gonna be able to like escape these systems and make a better future for us.
How specifically did you get involved and hear about Truth Worker?
I was in a bunch of arts programs in my school, and Samara was the teaching artist in most of those programs. So the way like those programs usually go is like they get a bunch of young kids to come in who are interested in the arts. You give them a topic, and we put on a whole production that gets put out for like one night. Everyone sees it, round of applause, and then it's like it's over, and the production does not go on. And Samara wanted to start Truth Worker so that our voices and the things that we say can continue to ripple and go through the community, and they can get heard by way more people than just one audience. So Samara, she invited me, invited a bunch of kids that were in those programs who wanted to continue to be able to make works, and she nurtured that.
So speaking of that nurturing, it's going to manifest itself in a play very soon.
That's right.
So I want you to dare the people of Brooklyn and whoever is watching to come and see this and not be affected by it.
Yeah, I do. I dare you. Revision, A State of Emergence, Thursday through Sunday, we have 5 shows. And we're going to be at Jack, which is just right here in the neighborhood, and we're so blessed and grateful that we have donated space for the last 3 years from the day that I sprouted this seed and took this leap. So at Jack on Waverly, 505 and a half Waverly and a half. Between Fulton and Atlantic, and our run again is Thursday through Sunday with 5 shows, including a daytime show for students on Friday, evening shows, and a Sunday matinee. And we'll be really honored and excited, and not just honored and excited, but it is, if there's one thing that you want to do right now in order to respond to, activate, a lot of people are, what do I do? How do I respond? Show up, show up and listen. Show up and be in dialogue. We don't just perform, we don't just entertain. This is a platform for testimonies, for rigorous inquiry, for research, for multimedia, and on top of that, every single show has a post-performance community dialogue. So it's interactive, and we engage the community to really, with hearts and with rigor and with vision forward, sit down together.
And getting tickets and making donations?
Truthworker.com. Both of those things can happen on truthworker.com. Yeah.
Well, check out this production, and I'm sure you have future productions coming up.
Absolutely.
That everyone will be checking out. Thank you very much for being here and for the artistic work that you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us.